In 1987, a cop filed a report he shouldn't have. Now thousands of people have seen it. A Michigan state trooper on patrol near Luther. Rural Tulane, dense pine on both sides. His headlights catch something stepping onto the asphalt. 7 feet tall, standing upright, canine face, amber eyes that locked onto his windshield and didn't blink. He froze. It didn't move, just stared. Then it dropped to all fours and vanished into the trees at a speed that made no sense for something that size. State police don't file fantasy reports. They document what they see. So what did he see? That report is one of thousands, and they all describe the same thing. A creature that shouldn't exist, but keeps showing up anyway. In Michigan. Always Michigan. This is the Dogman. And if you think it's just another cryptid legend, you haven't heard what happens to people who see it.
Let's go back to 1987, the same year that Trooper filed his report. A radio DJ named Steve Cook released a song called The Legend. It was supposed to be an April Fool's joke, a spooky ballad about a creature in the Michigan woods that appears every 10 years. Cook made it up, stitched together old campfire stories, added some drama, played it on air. The phones exploded. People started calling in, not to laugh, to share their own encounters. Hunters, campers, people who've lived in northern Michigan their whole lives. They weren't joking. They were terrified. And they all described the same creature Cook had invented, except they'd seen it years before his song ever aired. Cook thought he'd created a legend. Turns out he just gave it a name. Michigan became ground zero. Not because the sightings started there, they'd been happening for generations. But because suddenly, people had language for it, a framework. And once you have a name, you can start connecting the dots. And the dots? They form a pattern that's hard to ignore.
Let's talk about the Gable film. In the late 70s, a Super 8 reel was allegedly found in an abandoned house in the Gable area of Michigan. The footage is grainy, shaky, classic home movie quality. It shows someone walking through the woods. Then the camera jerks. There's movement in the background. Something large, bipedal, canine-shaped. The person filming starts running. The camera is all over the place. Trees, sky, ground. You hear heavy breathing. Then the footage cuts to what looks like a deer carcass. Torn apart, not eaten cleanly like a bear or wolf would. Shredded. The film ends with a flash of something close to the camera. Too close. Fur, teeth, then static. If you're still watching, hit subscribe, because what comes next gets worse. Skeptics say it's a hoax. A guy in a suit. Clever editing. And yeah, that's possible. Footage from the 70s is easy to fake if you know what you're doing. But here's the thing. The people who study this footage can't agree on what they're seeing. Frame-by-frame analysis shows movement patterns that don't match a person in a costume. The gait is wrong. The proportions are off. And the guy who allegedly found the film? He disappeared. No follow-up. No interviews. Just the footage passed around VHS trading circles for decades before hitting the internet. Real or fake, the Gable film did something important. It gave people visual reference. And suddenly, witness testimony got a lot more consistent.
Let's talk about those witnesses, because this is where it gets uncomfortable. We're not talking about teenagers looking for attention or paranormal enthusiasts chasing thrills. We're talking about law enforcement, military personnel, experienced hunters and trappers, people who've spent decades in the woods and know the difference between a bear on its hind legs and something that walks upright naturally. One retired Marine described an encounter during a training exercise in northern Michigan, middle of the night. His unit heard vocalizations they couldn't identify. Not wolves, not coyotes. Something between a howl and a scream, with this guttural undertone that he said made your stomach drop. They went to investigate. Found tracks. Canine, but massive. And here's what stopped them cold. The tracks switched. Started as four-legged prints. Then, mid-trail, they became bipedal. Heel-toe stride. Still clawed, but walking upright. He said the entire unit went silent. Nobody wanted to say what they were all thinking. They marked the location, reported it up the chain, and were told to move on. No follow-up, no investigation. Just move on. Then there are the hunters who quit. Not guys who got spooked once and needed a break, but lifelong outdoorsmen who sold their equipment and refused to go back. One man hunted whitetail in Michigan for 30 years, every season, never missed. Then one October evening, he was in his tree stand when he felt something watching him. He looked down. 7 feet below, something was staring up at him. Not a bear, not a wolf. Bipedal, canine face. And it was looking at him the way you'd study a puzzle you're trying to figure out. He said the eye contact lasted maybe 10 seconds, but it felt like an hour. Then it turned and walked away. Not ran. Walked. Like it had made its assessment and decided he wasn't worth the effort.
He climbed down, went home, and never hunted again. Sold everything within a month. When someone who's spent half their life in the forest suddenly won't step past the tree line, you don't ask why. You believe them.
So what makes Dogman different from other cryptids? Why is this one uniquely terrifying? Bigfoot sightings are usually brief. The creature is seen, it leaves. There's a sense of mutual avoidance. Bigfoot doesn't want to interact. You don't want to interact. Everyone goes their separate ways. Dogman is different. It engages. It observes. And worse, it seems to make decisions based on what it sees.
Multiple witnesses describe the same chilling behavior. The creature doesn't just chase. It herds. It strategically positions itself to cut off escape routes, forcing movement in a specific, predetermined direction. This isn't mere animal instinct. It's a calculated strategy. One terrified camper in Manistee National Forest vividly recalled realizing he was being subtly moved toward a deep ravine with no apparent exit. Every time he attempted to change direction, the creature silently adjusted its position. It wasn't pursuing him, it was guiding him. When he finally broke free and ran desperately uphill, it inexplicably let him go. Why? What sinister purpose was it serving? What was it truly doing out there in the dark? And if that unsettling thought is making you uneasy, good, because now we're about to delve into the truly horrifying sounds. Witnesses don't describe howls. They describe screaming. Human screaming mixed with something animalistic and deeply raw. One hunter said it sounded like a woman being torn apart, but coming from a throat that shouldn't be able to make that sound. Your brain knows it's not human, but your body reacts like it is. That's the part that breaks people. The sound bypasses logic and hits you on a primal level you can't ignore, leaving an indelible mark of terror.
Then there are the eyes, consistently described as intelligent, aware, not animal awareness, human awareness. One man said making eye contact with a dogman felt like it was reading him, not assessing, understanding. The uncanny valley effect is brutal. Your brain screams that you're looking at a person trapped in the wrong body, but you know it's not. That cognitive dissonance is what stays with people long after the encounter ends. Now let's talk about the pattern, because this is where it goes from unsettling to genuinely eerie. Researchers started noticing something in the 90s. Major dogman sightings spiking years ending in 7. 1967, 1977, 1987, 1997, 2007, 2017. Every 10 years, like clockwork, reports surge across Michigan and neighboring states. Is it migration? Some kind of hibernation cycle? Or is it something stranger? Nobody knows. But the pattern holds. Archives, police reports, newspaper clippings, they all show the same spike. And it's not confirmation bias. The data was noticed after the fact, not predicted.
Steve Cook's song mentioned a 10-year cycle, but he made that up for the story. He didn't know the actual reports would match it. So what happens in those 7th years? More sightings, yes, but also more aggressive encounters. More close calls. More people who come back changed. We're 2 years away from 2027, the next cycle. People in Michigan are already nervous. Some are preparing. Most are pretending it's coincidence. But here's the thing. This isn't new. Long before European settlers arrived in Michigan, indigenous tribes spoke of canine spirits. Algonquin and Ojibwe oral traditions describe creatures that walk upright, guardians of thresholds between worlds, shapeshifters, tricksters, omens. They didn't hunt them. They avoided them, gave offerings to stay out of their territory. The stories weren't cautionary tales for children. They were survival instructions. When colonists started reporting similar encounters in the 1700s and 1800s, they dismissed tribal warnings as superstition. Then they started seeing it too. Same creature, different name, but the warnings were always there. We just weren't listening.
Some researchers believe Dogman sightings are connected to these older legends. That what we're calling a cryptid might be something with roots in spiritual tradition or ecological memory, something people have been trying to tell us about for centuries. Others think it's purely biological, an undiscovered species, maybe a remnant population of something prehistoric. Dire wolves went extinct 10,000 years ago. What if they didn't? And then there's the third theory, the one nobody wants to say out loud. What if it's not from here at all? Look, I don't know what Dogman is. Nobody does. But I know this. The reports keep coming. The witnesses are credible. The patterns are consistent. And the fear is real. In 1987, a trooper saw something he couldn't explain. He filed a report anyway, knowing it would make him look ridiculous, knowing people would laugh. But he filed it because he needed someone else to know. Since then, thousands have come forward, and the story hasn't changed. Same creature, same behavior, same terror.
2027 is the next 7th year. If the pattern holds, we're about to see another wave of encounters. More reports, more witnesses, more people who will never look at the woods the same way again. The question isn't whether Dogman is real. The question is, what do you do if you see it? Drop your theory in the comments. And if you've ever seen something you couldn't explain, I need to know. Because the pattern doesn't end in 2027. It just starts again.